We were invited to a sneak preview of Ubisoft's vision for a next-gen racer, and let's start there. What is a next-gen racer to you?
For me, there's one thing that I feel that we didn't have enough in terms of racing in general, and that's just freedom, just being able to go outside of the tracks, being able to go anywhere you want. And I think we found a solution to that. One of the things that I love about our game is that it's an entire country with all the variety that you can find in a country. So from city streets, you saw New York, you saw Las Vegas, to countryside, forests, sand dunes, everything else. So all of that is in this game, and we're giving drivers the opportunity to choose their car and their customizations to be able to drive anywhere on those terrains. So that, for me, is the first building block.
So I guess people may not sort of associate Ubisoft with driving games in general, but can you tell us a little bit where the background of this game is? Where does the creativity come from, and what's the DNA here? That's because I understand it's like a long line of where this game comes from.
Sure. I mean, the core of the project, the guys who got together, are based in Lyon, which is in France. It's a small team called Ivory Tower. Now these guys are super senior, hardcore driving fanatics, and they've worked on some of the most ambitious driving games ever, like Need for Speed or Test Drive Unlimited. And they got together and they had this vision for a massive open world driving game that was completely an online persistent world as well. So almost an MMORPG of driving. And they got together, they built this core, and it was really something that Ubisoft wanted to participate in and to invest in. And a few years down the line, there was an opportunity to work with Reflections, the Driver San Francisco studio. And you're not going to turn down that, because that is, for me, one of the best driving games of the last 10 years. So the ADN is this sort of mix between the DNA, ADN in French, I'm sorry, I'm right. The DNA of the game is really this mix between Test Drive Unlimited scope and ambition, the polish of a Need for Speed, and the excellence in driving of a Driver San Francisco. So that's really where we're coming from.
So in terms of racing games, having such a diverse sort of surface to drive on must be a challenge. How do you tackle that?
I think that's part of the fun. As a player, it's working out, okay, which car shall I take to go the fastest between Detroit and Chicago? Is it going to be just a performance street car? Just performs great on roads and on highways, so you can do highway battles on the way there? Or do you want to go completely off-road? So you choose a vehicle, either a dirt vehicle for dirt tracks or a raid vehicle inspired by Paris-Dakar racing, and go straight off-road. You know, it's your choice. And that sort of choice and that sort of thinking is part of the fun in our game. There's no punishment for either one choice or the other. It's all fun amongst friends. So that's really part, I think, of the fun of having this incredibly diverse world.
So we saw a few different types of modes. There's little things that are peppered throughout the open world, but there's also things that sort of reminded me of like something like old school, like Midtown Madness or something like that, where you take down a car and you work together to do that. Can you tell us a little bit about what the mission structure is and what kind of things people will be doing?
So the whole of the USA can be a little intimidating. So what we've done there is we've structured that with a story that will make you progress from Detroit to New York to Miami to Las Vegas to LA. And it really takes you on this, road trip around the States, picking up NPCs as crew members. And those will be your, basically the perks, the power-ups that you can choose for your vehicles. Now, along the way, we're going to be giving you access to more and more modes and different kinds of races. It could be checkpoint races through a forest with you having to find your way through all of the trees, or it could be an illegal street race in the middle of New York City. So all of these different things, they're completely open to you and your friends. Every single mission and race is cooperatively playable too. On top of that, we have thousands of skills. Now, skills are 20-second trials that you basically play, try and get your best score on, a medal on, and then if it's really good, you can beat your friends, leave an asynchronous ghost for them, and it brings the whole world to life. It makes you have gameplay every 20 seconds in the world.
So this online world is something that's truly ambitious, something that, because I think people sort of imagine that, oh, you're going to invite friends into your world, but everyone is actually playing on the same map, the same server, the same sort of persistent world. How's that even possible?
Well, this is the great thing about the next gen. I mean, when I think of the 360 and the PS3 and what they brought to console gaming, that for me was HD. I think everybody feels the same way. When you look at PS2 games or Xbox One games today, that visually they don't really compare. I think this generation is all about the social, the shared world. I'm super happy to be able to present one of the first games that has something as deep as that day one. And our shared world really brings this sort of unexpected feel. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to be able to challenge or even possibly recruit into your crew. And because we're an RPG, because our customization is so pushed, you're going to be able to really personalize your vehicle to your style and your way of playing. So you know that when you're driving in Las Vegas and you see a really blinged out Bentley, you know that guy's a level 50 guy. You know he's been to the end of the game and he's unlocked some crazy stuff that you're teased about going to. So really, I mean, for me, this is one of the first MMO driving games out there.
So I imagine that sort of takes us into the customization thing. You really have to have insanely deep customization for this to really feel like that sort of world. If you got thousands and thousands and thousands of players on there, and you don't want them to feel like everyone's wearing the same armor or whatever in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. So customization for us, every vehicle that we have, and they're all licensed vehicles, are a 19-piece puzzle. And those 19 pieces you can choose from hundreds of parts. So there are thousands and thousands of combinations. But on top of that, it's stickers that you can apply to it or make yourself on a PC and upload. So that's the type of customization there. But on top of that, we have these skill trees that are given to you by the NPCs that you have to recruit. And those skill trees make the driving experience really adapted to the way that you want to play. So that's the customization and the RPG side of things. And you saw the customization when you strip the whole body away and you see the chassis and the engine.
It almost made me think of the gun thing in Guns. Yeah, Gunsmith.
Yeah, they were developed around the same time, but it's a great way to see inside a vehicle, and it's something that I'm super happy with. I'm really proud of.
I think I went to see Need for Speed, the new Need for Speed, not long ago, and you're talking about some of the things you're talking about as next gen is similar, although I think the games, what they actually do, are kind of different. But how would you position this game in relation to other races that are out there, and sort of where do you think it sits?
I think it's something a little bit different. I think what we're trying to do is really different, actually. When I think of, and I'm a fan of all of these games, when I think of Forza, I think of simulation racing at its best. I think of the guys who are obsessive about detail, who love to race Fiat 500s as well as all of the other vehicles that are available there. Need for Speed has always been, for me, about driving super, super fast and escaping cops. For us, we've got the cops, we've got the circuits, but it's also about exploration. It's also about the open world, and it's also about a living world, people that you're going to meet and recruit. but we've got a story in there too. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're trying to do, and I think the resulting experience is really unique.
So with this kind of game, and sort of you talked about test drive and that sort of thing, and I think there's been other examples of this sort of open road, open-ended things, sort of ends up with people creating their own kind of events, their own kind of racing. Will you provide players with not just sort of the option of doing that, but also like maybe some tools to create events of their own?
I think the emerging gameplay is something that I find the most exciting. I mean, we've done whole afternoons in the team just playing around, playing with the different jumps and the different skills that we have in the game. The tools to create those, they're not going to be delivered with the game at launch, but it may be something that we'll look into afterwards, because I love the emerging gameplay.
And just to wrap it up, when can we expect the crew to hit?
So the crew's going to come out on Xbox One, PS4, and high-end PCs early 2014.
Right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.